You know, I always dey talk and say sometimes I dey ask myself which kind God create some of una wey be Nigerians. When I dey see all this kind updates, I go dey ask myself say, how is it possible? People wey dem dey fight for, wey dem no dey fight for themselves. Now, a lot of Nigerians na dem be. Imagine Peter Obi. I know say into dey fight for him own interest too, but he don dey fight for Nigerians, so e be say dem no even dey fight for their own selves. Make una dey see the moves wey dey take now because of the main Nigerians. And this the same Nigerians up to date with everything wey dey go on for Nigeria. Everybody dey look like moron. Everybody, I dey include everybody. Including my papa wey dey roll 2 times, so including you wey be say you dey see me, so everybody is included, including me. Oh, we are included. We dey look. Now God now go help us.
Level of challenges that the people are facing in those particular domain. And these issues range from education, water, and even economic well-being with regard to the issue of health and education. Now, in his meeting the people, he felt their pain and their pang. And this, of course, now created this particular thought in his mind that after his last press conference, he challenged a lot of Nigerians to come in support of Nigerians because of the situation in which we find ourselves. People cannot eat 3 square meals, people cannot send their children to school, people are in abject poverty, and then our leaders need to come to terms with this situation. And that is the reason why he visited these key leaders. The key leaders, of course, if you look carefully, represents the 3 geographical zones in the northern part, using them as a point of contact to all other leaders in the northern part, by extension, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Our revered former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, is from the northeastern part of the country, while Sule Lamido is also the former governor of Jigawa State, is from the northwest of the northern part. And the former Senate President, Bukola Saraki, is from the north central of the northern part of the country. Now, meeting them, he was able to have a discussion with them. Let's work together in pulling people out of poverty. Pulling people out of poverty will help in series of areas in terms of security, in terms of quality workforce, in terms of healthy individuals, and at the same time preparing those particular children, especially the Almajiris, from a archaic way of education into a modern way of education. So let us collaborate together and work together to pull Nigeria out of poverty and save this country from a very serious situation that we may be facing in the nearest future. These are the major reasons why he has to visit all of these leaders. And then we are so happy that they welcome him with 2 hands and warmly, and that, of course, has led to a lot of issues being raised in the public domain.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Tanko, especially for highlighting, how receptive these meetings turned out to be. Now, I'm just wondering what potential alliances or coalitions could emerge as a result of these consultations and how they might shape the political landscape.
Prior to 2023 general election, there have been various discussions within the political landscape. Myself, I've been involved, and I've also elucidated and amplified this matter here on this table. And then these discussions, of course, is open for anybody who is interested in building a new Nigeria. And in that regard, these discussions are ongoing. Politics is dynamic. As long as you are meeting the people and you are discussing about, and you are meeting the leaders and you are discussing about the people, which are also the fulcrum of democracy, anything can happen in that particular line. You cannot say who and who may be contesting in 2027. But the most important thing that is so germane and very interesting to His Excellency is the issue of pulling people out of poverty, showing care to the people, concern about the well-being of the people. After all, it is only when the people are in good health and all that they can vote. But when you don't take care of them and show concern for them, then where do you think that you are going to get the vote? So the most important thing for him at the moment now is pulling people out of poverty and reaching out to most of his colleagues. Remember, all of these particular 3 individuals, great Nigerians that we just mentioned, all of them have contested or showed interest in also the leadership of this country. So they are very big leaders in their own very important right. And it is only when you reach out to these particular people, say, look, this is our situation. I know you know, but let us put our resources together and see what we can do to alleviate the suffering situation of our country.
All right.
Especially the masses.
Very well said. Very well said. Now, this has these visits, and of course, some of the visits that have been made over the past few weeks that we've witnessed to the north by Peter Obi have ignited a lot of conversation, some of which, of course, is highlighted by the infighting that we currently see within the Labour Party. Now, when he goes to visit these PDP chieftains, it almost seems to give an affirmation to the conversations that there's a rift going on, as Peter Obi may be considering jumping ship from Labour Party as we get closer to 2027. Is there any smoke where there is any fire, where there is this smoke?
Well, at this point in time, there is no any discussion in that regard. And if you notice carefully when he was moving around the northern part and other part of the country, he did not go under mobilizing with people of political party, Labour Party and all, because it will be termed as if it's just a political strategy. But he went on his own solo person with some of us who are with him to showcase that this is just a humanitarian visit to all of these particular places. And I can tell you, it has yielded result. At least many Nigerians now are responding to those particular clarion call. Some people are doing this particular borehole, even though it's a short-term gap. Many people are trying to find a way of economically empowering people within their domain. These are the things that we need to do as Nigerians. After all, even the Bible and the Quran teaches us to take care of our neighbors. And most of the situation that we find ourselves is that a lot of Nigerians are really in their need of assistance. And if you have so much or you have a little, share it so that he can be able to help. So in his own way, he's using all the resources that God has given him to do this particular little project, and he's willing to do more. So, and if he have some of his colleagues to also help in this direction, it will give another new narrative to the dying needs of the country, and so that even the government itself will now start to put their priority right, because their priority actually was supposed to be for the interest of the people, not actually putting more pain on the people, especially in the area of tax and projects that are not necessary at the particular point in time. We have various challenges coming from road, health, education. Even hunger is ravaging the land. And for a country of this nature that has so much, it is very, very shameful for us to find that Nigerians cannot take care of themselves, even in terms of economic empowerment, to do one or two things because of dwindling economic situation, in terms of power and in terms of all kinds of normal things that's supposed to be for normal indices of survival in the country. So therefore, it is a challenge that he's trying to put into a place, but at the same time, using moral suasion by appealing and collaborating with some of the leaders in Nigeria. And I think Nigerians should be able to give him a kudos for this particular venture that he's already taken upon himself and joined by all others.
All right, Dr. Tanko. Of course, you stated earlier that during these consultations, the parties were relatively receptive towards Mr. Peter Obi. But I just, considering that, there are differing political interests that potentially, what are some of the adjustments that might need to be made in order to achieve the objectives that he has planned as a result of these consultations? Because even though they might have been receptive, perhaps there might need to be some compromise from one person or one individual or the other.
Well, at this point in time, the most important thing is for us to speak with one voice as regard to issues that concern budgetary allocation and executing them, and making sure that things that were supposed to be meant for the people are being done, especially the neglect that we've been faced in the local government. When we have a society that is economically empowered and independently stable, they will be able to make informed choice even in voting. But the truth about it is that by the time you put the people in abject poverty, they now become beck and call, and then at the end of it all, we'll have the less quality of leadership that we've already seen in Nigeria at the moment. But by making sure that the people are move out of poverty and then they can make an informed decision on their own, then things can go rightly. And in terms of issue of concession within the leaders will of course come out and resolve to speak in the direction of trying to fight for the interests of the country, protect the sovereignty of this country. The Nigerian state is in dire need of production so that they can help to develop the internal needs of the country. It's not about continuously making the people continuously crying in need. I know His Excellency had a one-on-one contact with a woman in Kano or so. And these women were just crying that they cannot take care of their own children. They cannot take care of them going to school, going to feeding them and all of those. Not as if they are lazy, but their farms has already been overrun by bandits and all. And then what is the root cause of even the bandits themselves? It's about the issue of neglect in the local government. Imagine if we have 3 trillion of naira that were being proposed for a coastal road. Imagine if all of this particular money has been distributed to the local government and where the people will feel the impact. Can you imagine the kind of energy that will resolve and come out of those particular local governments? It will have even been easier from there to people will now start to pay taxes. So it is this particular systematic change and narrative that is trying to push into the national discourse. And I'm happy that the reception that he got from his colleagues is very, very encouraging. And we want to encourage Nigerians that they should think in that direction so that at the end of it all, it is not going to be spaghetti, sugar, Milo, and all others that will determine the vote of any Nigerian. The person who wants to vote will vote for his personal conviction that ABC has the capacity, has the quality, and what he can do for us. It's not as if until when they come and give me spaghetti or palm oil or Maggi before I can vote. So these are things that the concession that can be made in trying to change the psyche of Nigerians to really think about a genuine democracy that all of us will be proud of.
Okay, well, we may say that we want to move away from the spaghetti and the so forth type of politics, but some critics might come and say, well, what we saw Peter Obi doing throughout Ramadan and even now as, he was eating with young people and sharing food with them and, some of the boreholes we've seen, some of the projects we've seen, that the realization that, of course, we saw that at the last election, there was a stronghold, as expected, in the southern part of the country, and now he needs to make inroads in the north. So how much of this is politics and how much of this is governance? Because it's quite easy to reduce it and say, at the end of the day, Peter Obi has realized that he needs the north. So it's in his best interest to make sure that he touches base and makes the necessary alliances there. How much of this is about governance?
As far as he is concerned, he's not interested in a divisive politics that the conventional politicians are used to. That is regional, tribe, and religion. Every Nigerian is important to His Excellency. And that was the reason why, most of the time we were even campaigning, he talked about the arable land in the northern part of the country, where he gave a calculative and statistical analysis that even Niger State alone can feed the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Talk about Borno. So even Zambisa forest that was supposed to be used for productive use, which was turned into a bending tent, was something that he was looking at. Can you imagine if Nigerians can be able to put these particular resources into use? This country will be super great. And so, as far as he is concerned, he has always been aligning with the northern part of the country and identifying the potential that is daring in the northern part of the country. Long even before the election and during the campaign, he did all of that. But what he's doing now is getting more closer to the people, because there's a narrative that he needed to be changed. People, of course, because of election, a lot of people have come out to tell a lot of lies. I remember when I gave you an analogy of what was going on in the mosques and the churches and about probably his religious bigot and all of that. So his visit is just getting closer to the people. So this is what they told you, this is who I am.
So in essence, this is politics,
me, this is what I'm saying
not
about
governance,
myself.
is what you're saying. In essence,
so
this is
then,
political.
But at that point in time, no, not at all. Because getting closer to the people is not political. What I mean is that getting to know them, they knowing him, is a different ballgame entirely. And if they have needs that they need him to support them, he did. That's the reason in terms of boreholes, I'm going to Almajiri school and all of those things. Let me say this. Just imagine, had it been that His Excellency did not do this or did not move from point A to point B, what would the people say? Now he's doing it, and people are still talking. He's doing it practically and even supporting practically. Is it when it is time for election period, that is when you expect him to go around and meet people? Yep. That is if he intends to declare that he's running? There will be two different. So this is the best time to show independently that before any election, this is who I am. And it's very important to him. This is somebody who has been doing this humanitarian support even to Haiti, out of the country. He's been doing it. It is not his first time of doing it. So people do not know this. So let us bring it out to the public domain for them to understand the person called Peter Gregory Obi.
All right, Dr. Tanko, well said. Now, I recall earlier you mentioned that we're trying to shift the mindset of Nigerians from, short-term benefits like what you mentioned about food and whatnot, and paying more attention to issue-based campaigns, more or less. But are you concerned, based on the current realities, our economics, the state of our economy, and what we're experiencing right now in Nigeria, this might actually be a perfect storm to reinforce that mindset based on the desperation that you can practically cut with a knife when you're out in the streets, because people are certainly feeling this pinch. So are you concerned that this stomach infrastructure aspect might be reinforced as opposed to being sidelined?
Well said. I agree with you. And that is the reason why he knows very clearly that the country called Nigeria belongs to every one of us. And there are various leaders. And that is the reason why he found it very expedient to pay this particular visit to all of these key leaders. To say, look, gentlemen, let us do this. It will help even our democracy. Let us do this. It will help our people. Let us do this. It will help our country in general. Let us do this and change the narrative and change the mindset of the common Nigerian on the street that really some of their leaders really care about them. By sitting down to eat with children who are reading Quran and all, it's just a show of love and empathy. Many people may find it as if it's appalling. Some even say that why would he eat in the same spoon with a small child? And he said, look, he's a human being just like me. And by so showing him this particular love, he will change his mind. Even if he has misgivings against the government, against the leaders, this is me showing him that, look, it can be done differently. So imagine if thousands of our leaders do similar. Do you think we will find ourselves in this particular situation? Obviously, no. The idea is just to call on every Nigerian that has a way of means to assist so that to change the psyche of this. So when you even come to appeal to them to say this is the way to vote or how to vote, they will be able to listen to you. But if you leave this situation as it is now, God knows what will happen in the next present dispensation. And so before it happens, let us change that particular narrative. And I'm glad personally that he's championing this particular cause. And